Are there ways, other ways, practical ways that a single girl can make herself findable or discoverable? Good evening and welcome to Family Connect, where we discuss real issues in real relationships involving real people. My name is Stanley Oji and I will be your host as usual. This is episode 9 of our topic, Single, Mature, and Waiting. Please, if this is the first time you're stumbling on this video, I want to encourage you, go to my YouTube page, Dr. Stanley Oji, and you'll catch all the other 8 previous episodes. They will bless you. Even if you don't need them because you're already married, I'm sure you have somebody who might need them. Now, from episode 8, we saw that according to Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 11, that time and chance happens to everything, including marriage. In other words, God will provide opportunities. God will provide the chance for you as a single woman to get married, but you have to have utilized time. In other words, you have to have put in the work of preparation so that when opportunity comes, that opportunity will meet preparation. So one of the things we said is that while waiting on God to provide the opportunity to meet and marry that dream man, we must maximize time as represented by the waiting period. So you need to invest in yourself spiritually. You need to invest in professional development. You need to invest in physical development. Develop your own fitness routines and things like that. Get certifications and develop competencies generally. And of course, you need to also grow spiritually, all right? So the waiting period is a gift, and we should not throw it away while waiting for God's promise concerning a spouse to come through in our case. So you should never, I emphasize this, as a single woman, put your aspirations on hold because of the lie that the more empowered and accomplished you are as a woman, the less marriable you are. That is not true. Be all that you know that God has created you to be. Pursue the dreams in your heart. The husband will come and meet you there. But that said, physical, educational, or even social credentials, when I say physical, I'm talking about good looks now, all right? Even social credentials in and of themselves, they're not going to put a man in your path. Okay, so you can have all of these beautiful things I talked about, but they in and of themselves are not going to necessarily put a man in your path. Just like, those days they say she's from a good family, and if she's from a good family, suitors will basically be falling over themselves because parents are reaching out to parents that your daughter, the one that studied nursing, the one that studied this, that, and all of that. But you see, being from a good family does not guarantee that you will get somebody to marry, because the dynamics have changed. Now, that said, being from a good family, having all of these other merits, physical, professional, and all of that, they are still wonderful in and of themselves. But the truth of the matter is that things have changed. Globalization, migration, all of these things have largely reduced the kind of influence that parents have on whom their children marry, whether they are sons or whether they are daughters. All right. So those days, parents had a very big say, but immigration and globalization, the net effect of these is that parents, that kind of leverage that parents used to have in determining who their children marry, that kind of leverage is no longer there. It's been reasonably whittled down. I mean, I'm sure you know people, maybe friends of yours, who for 7 years, sometimes 8 years, all right, they've not seen their parents physically. They've never spoken to their parents except, electronically. That's the reality of our day. So in that kind of setting, it's a little bit tricky to, for people to be locating wives for people based on the character of their families and all of that. Okay, so beyond prayers, personal development, as we've already discussed, we want to see whether there are other ways, in addition to this, by the way, that a single mature woman can make herself findable, discoverable. Now, this is for lack of a better word, but you understand what I'm saying. Are there ways, other ways, practical ways that a single girl can make herself findable or discoverable? By the way, this word findable, I coined it from Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22. He that findeth, since it's the he that finds, not the she. All right, so to make yourself findable, are there things that you can do without acting in an inappropriate way by social standards? All right, so that don't say you are too forward, you are too aggressive for a woman, or you are cheap or something. All right, so are their ways. So now, on the average, and I believe this absolutely, on the average, landing a spouse for a lot of young women is based not just on family background, like we've said, or personal merits, but mostly, in my opinion, on their primary social connections. So the people you know, your network. All right, that is, and it happens for guys as well. That's where your wife would most probably, come from. So a potential husband could be a former neighbor, a present neighbor. He could be a work colleague. It could be a social connection from school associations, professional bodies. You can go on and on. Church in particular, but also very importantly, the internet, because that's one area that people a lot of times overlook. People are getting married online. People are meeting spouses. I'm talking about millions of marriages happening around the world between people that meet themselves online. So people have found love in an old crush from high school. They just, suddenly, got back together again, found each other online. You can connect to a sibling of a friend that the person posted on his or her profile for birthday, things like that. Okay, that's the power of the internet. All right, so there are so many ways. So the reason we are having this discussion, by the way, we are going to be talking about a lot of things nobody addresses. So please be patient with me, and I would encourage you again, go back and listen to the previous ones and follow me. This is going to probably run into 30 episodes because there's a lot to chew, on this very interesting topic. So people find love in all kinds of places online these days. So let us not just close our minds to that. If you are somebody that is believing God for, a spouse, I know some have argued whether it is really necessary for a mature Christian single to be active on social media in order to enhance our chances of marriage. I think so. And I have evidence. I know people, plenty of people, all right, who have directly or indirectly found their present spouses online. And somebody will tell that typically it doesn't work. I don't know why it shouldn't work. Everything is being done online these days. But let's go on. So, for example, one of the easiest places to find people is on social media. I mean, if you are looking for somebody, go look for them. I mean, I remember my best man after our wedding like 23 years ago. The guy just basically disappeared from radar, and I was looking for him everywhere. I looked for him, Facebook, Instagram, name it. I looked for him everywhere. I couldn't find him. And then one day I remembered I've not checked on LinkedIn because he's a professional person. And once I typed his name into LinkedIn, there he was, where he was stationed, what he was doing at this particular time. So it was just, just buzz him. And then the next day we were talking. That's the power of social media. If you can do all of that on social media, why can't you find a spouse on social media? So I think we're just being traditional if we decide to just close our minds, to this particular avenue. As we are aware, employers, embassies even, are making decisions based on people's social media profiles, just in case you don't know. That's why if you apply for a visa, they will tell you to give them your social media handles. Because if they go there and you are talking about how to manufacture a bomb, they're not taking you into their country, all right? So these are important things. And we need to understand that if all of these things can be done on social media, then marriage can also happen through social media. I'm just trying to, open these things up to us so that let it not be us, that are the problem while we are waiting on God. Because as we stated before, faith without works is dead. So a lot of times, and as I find it shocking that somebody that is a single girl, she is mature, she obviously wants to get married. You get to her Instagram profile, for example, where it exists at all. Because I met a young lady who doesn't have any social media presence, and she's mature enough to get married. What's the problem? She says she's a very private person. I'm just looking at her and I'm just shaking my head. Private. All right. But you go to somebody's, even where the Instagram profile exists, you go to that place and the person, you see the thing, it says private. You don't see anything there. And I wonder, what if I'm an old connection, knew this person from somewhere, maybe I met this person at a conference and I'm just trying to look for her. And I find her name, but the thing says profile is private. Or you go to her Facebook profile, they say it's locked. Okay, so you cannot interact with the person. You cannot really, dig deeper to find out who this person is. And I don't think that serves us well if we are people who are actually quite serious about getting somebody to marry. And my advice to you is that open up. I mean, everything is happening on social media. Everything. I say if you shop on social media, you sell, you buy on social media, you sell on social media. People attend church on social media. People preach on social media. People receive Christ on social media. What is marriage that people cannot do on social media? I mean, it's just commonsensical. All right. So I think that's something that we need to explore. So another controversial issue also, let me just mention this, is whether Christian singles should use dating apps. That's a big question because of the way the devil has hijacked some of these things and corrupted them, people don't even want to hear about them. But if you ask me, I believe that to the extent that it can broaden your social circle, it is perfectly okay. All right. Now, that's a broad topic, and we're going to be discussing that next week. I think I'm out of time. My name is Stanley Oji, and this is Family Connect, where we discuss real issues in real relationships involving real people. Next week, we'll be looking at dating apps, and we'll dig deep into that. God bless you. Be good. We'll do this again next week. Please remember, do not forget to subscribe if you are watching on YouTube, or just follow me. And please, very important, drop your question. I want to know that you're following me because it encourages me to keep doing this. It's quite a lot of work to put this together. So I want to have you respond, like something, say something, engage me in some way. If I see your question, if I see your comment, I promise you, I will respond to you. God bless you. Bye-bye.